There was a fun moment in the United States Senate yesterday I'd love to share with you, mostly because it features the amazing constitutional law professor slash podcast host slash New York Times contributor Kate Shaw, who's also my wife. And it also features Missouri Senator Josh Hawley, who is amazing in his own way, I guess. Kate was a minority party witness in the Senate Judiciary Committee. The Democrats on the committee had called her and had an exchange with Hawley, who has been going to ridiculous lengths to defend the lawlessness of boss Trump and explain why he keeps losing in courts day after day after day. Hawley had printed out a big gotcha chart, which he seemed to think proved that Donald Trump is the victim of a vast network of biased judges from across the ideological spectrum. Professor Shaw suggested there might be a more simple explanation.
What's the principle of when an injunction binding non-parties, which was never done in this country before the 1960s? And let's see the chart, the Trump chart, which was done really only once Trump came into office for the first time. You don't think this is a little bit anomalous? You don't think that's a little bit strange?
A very plausible explanation, Senator, you have to consider is that he is engaged in much more lawless activity than other presidents, right?
You don't think
you must
this
that as
was
a
never
possibility.
used before the 1960s, and suddenly Democrat judges decide we love the nationwide injunction, and then when Biden comes to office, no, actually.
It's Republican appointees as well, Senator, and the 1960s is where some scholars sort of locate the beginning of this.
Can you identify one before then?
Mila Sohoni, who's another scholar of universal injunction, suggests 1913 is actually the first. There were others in the 20s.
The Republic endured for 150 years before there was a nationwide injunction.
Well, the federal government was doing a lot less until 100 years ago. So there's many things that have changed in the last 100 or the last 50 years.
So long as it is a Democrat president in office, then we should have no nationwide injunctions. If it's a Republican president, then this is absolutely fine, warranted, and called for. How can our system of law survive on those principles, Professor?
I think a system in which there are no meaningful constraints on the president is a very dangerous system.
It was a little hard to hear there at the end, but Professor Shaw said, I think a system in which there are no constraints on the president is a very dangerous system. So, yeah, maybe the reason Donald Trump is getting blocked in the courts more than other presidents, that big part of the bar chart, is because he's finding himself in court more than other presidents because of what he's doing. And maybe not because nearly every federal judge appointed by both parties, including by Trump himself, suddenly became insanely anti-Trump. To quote the witness, a very plausible explanation you have to consider is that he is engaged in much more lawless activities than other presidents.